For more on this right now, Chief White House Correspondent John Karl. It was really two speeches in one last night. You had that call to unity, but also call to arms for the president's base.
Yeah, I mean, you had in the beginning of that speech and at the end, President Trump seemed to come out against Trumpism. I mean, the language is incredible. He talks about rejecting the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, bridging old divisions. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love. I mean, that is not the Donald Trump that we have seen over the past 2 or 3 years. And yet, where he seemed most passionate and energetic was when he went for his wall. He vowed he would build it, took the hard line on abortion. So we saw the hard line Donald Trump, but we saw that's not new. What was new here was this plea for unity. And even in the hard line, George, he did not call for a national emergency to build the wall, and he did not say that he would shut the government down.
He knows that's problematic even with his own party. Senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce, you saw that moment where the president congratulated the new women members. He skipped the congratulations for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, but he could not mistake the fact she's sitting over his shoulder, and he did have that warning for her on investigations.
And look, she did have a polite, though sometimes amused, look on her face throughout much of the speech, but she also made very clear where she disagrees with him. We saw her shaking her head there throughout much of his remarks on immigration, that eye roll when he warned Democrats not to investigate him. Look, Democrats were skeptical of this speech and the president's calls for unity even before he delivered it. It was very clear that there are still huge divisions between the two of them. Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, they know that one speech is not going to move the needle or somehow heal the partisan divide.
And Matthew Dowd, chief political analyst, the president did lay out some things that Democrats like: infrastructure, bringing down the price of prescription drugs. But it doesn't look like there's much hope that any of that is going to actually get done over the next year. What did get done last night for the president was laying out a lot of themes for his 2020 campaign.
Yeah, I thought the president could have done a much better job of talking about more bridges, both literally and figuratively, than walls in this speech. This is obviously the beginning of the long slog to November 2020 in this. But what is striking to me is I think the president and his team have decided that because the economy isn't lifting his approval numbers, as you referenced last night, his approval is at the lowest point of any president at this point in time, they're going to head straight for wedge issues, and wedge issues like abortion and wedge issues like immigrants. So they've decided the economy can't lift him. They'd have to go to wedge issues.
And John, the president last night, speaking to a chamber, he clearly is looking to run again, at least right now, speaking to a chamber filled with possible candidates.
All over there. I counted at least a baker's dozen of Democratic presidential candidates on that floor, and it was interesting to see the kind of dance of who was going to applaud and who was not. But I think that this is a president almost desperate for a bipartisan accomplishment. He wants to make a deal with Democrats on something before he turns to those wedge issues.
Best chance for a bipartisan compromise?
The talks continue. The president has said these shutdown talks are a waste of time, but in talking with members that are hammering this out, they say they just want leadership and the president to give them the space to try and work this out, and they want once and for all the president to tell them what he is willing to sign.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.